Nose rings, they're back. The septum piercing is back in the algorithm. It's been noticed that very progressive types often have nose rings, especially if it's young women. There's a lot of dudes that have the septum piercings too. I did this video already. I did it after the elections, and I watched election meltdown compilations, and I said, wow, a lot of these people have septum piercings. And then I had seen something that connected septum piercings with the god Cernunnos, as you'll see in this image. He's holding a septum piercing. Cernunnos, over and over again in depictions of idols for his veneration, and from like historical artifacts, there's Cernunnos. He's the horned Celtic god, basically Pan, all right? He's got the horns, except the Celtic one has like antlers, and he's got goat legs, and he's a faun, he's a satyr. And what do the satyrs do? They steal children and women, or anybody really. They steal the people away, and then they ravish them and then kill them and stuff like that. So they get essayed, they get assaulted. Again, women and children primarily. But also, you know, this happened to men. That's where the word panic comes from, because people would get hysterical. Oh, there's, you know, people would go missing or whatever, and they'd say it was Pan. Pan took them away. And it's also, Cernunnos is holding in his hands, but if you look up image searches for cow with a nose ring, pig with a nose ring, there's even a part of the Bible that says, it's Isaiah 11:22. I wrote it down. Isaiah 11. No, it's Proverbs. Sorry, Isaiah 11:22 is the one where it says, "Teach me to delight in the fear of you." What I want is Proverbs 11:22. Like a gold ring in a swine's snout is a beautiful woman without discernment. So, in Proverbs, it's less about the nose ring. It's more about the gold nose ring. And a woman that's even if she has a fancy gold nose ring, because people had septum piercings back then in the times of King Solomon and Proverbs, because Proverbs is from Solomon. You know, he's like attributed to having writ that. So, and what did Solomon ask for from God? Wisdom. And he said, doesn't matter if you have a gold nose ring. A lot of those women are led around and they have no discernment. They're led around by the gold nose ring, because it's like they put those on a pig's snout and they could lead stubborn livestock around. Also, for pigs, having a septum piercing was a way that would stop them from like rooting around in the ground, because it would hurt their nose. They would stop because the piercing would push into the nose. But also it's a way to lead them around. And when I looked up image searches, because I said I did this video before, and in my previous video there was a lot of images of the animals being led around: cattle, cows, bulls, and pigs, and they were being pulled by the ring through their nose, because there's an attachment you put on so that you can pull them around. It's been harder to find those images. I've noticed that no matter what web browser I use to search for images, there's a lot of stuff I can't find. I'll give some examples of this, even though I'm going to stay focused on septum piercings and being led around by the devil, basically. You have a septum piercing in your nose, you're being led around by Cernunnos. Cernunnos is just a surrogate for like demons or the devil, you know, like, because what's a satyr, what's a faun? Did you ever see the Chronicles of Narnia, where Mr. Tumnus is the satyr, and Lucy goes into the closet, into the wardrobe, and that takes her to another dimension, And the first person she meets is Mr. Cernunnos, and he's a faun. And he takes Lucy in to get her warm because it's perpetual winter in the land of Narnia because there's a witch, the White Witch or whatever her name is ruling over the land, so it's winter all the time. So Mr. Cernunnos, the satyr, who has goat legs and horns, played by the guy who plays Professor X, he takes Lucy, who's like a little girl, and he takes her into his house and he gives her a drink, and then she gets sleepy and falls asleep. And when she wakes up in the movie, the first thing that he says, which is the same in the book of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, who is not a Christian at all. He's a bad guy. So I don't like C.S. Lewis, I'll just say that. The inkwells stink. They're stinkwells, that's what I call them. So anyway, this is all related to the nose ring stuff, and that Cernunnos is bad. So Lucy wakes up from passing out because Mr. Cernunnos, the faun, gives her a Cosby drink, slips her a Mickey, and when she wakes up, the first thing he does is he apologizes profusely. I'm sorry for what I've done. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. That's C.S. Lewis letting you know that he knows what a satyr is. He knows what a pan is. He knows what a puck is. Pan, pucks, satyrs, fawns. These are the goat-legged men with horns. And Cernunnos is the same thing. So what it's implying, even in the movie, it made it to the film adaptation, is that he took advantage of this little girl because that's what they do. That's what pans, pucks, fawns, satyrs do to children and women. Like in the old Greek myths, they'd lead the women away and they'd have their way with them, these goat men. So, there's a resurgence of Cernunnos because a lot of the images that will be in this video, here's some more. You see that? Did you notice the bricks? I'll put another image up of the bricks. So the image of the statue of Cernunnos holding a nose ring in his hand. These are lawn ornaments. People are venerating and worshiping. There's a new era of paganism coming in. You know about witch talk? You know about how all the women are into the new age stuff and they're doing witchcraft. And did you ever see the Aquatafina? And they were talking about, this is again after the elections. I did this video already. After the elections, there was a bunch of witch talk witches saying Aquatafina, because it was some kind of like thing that you could buy off Amazon, and if you, they said we're all baristas with nose piercings, which is a punchline. It's you know, walking talking stereotype. Oh, it's a barista with shit all over her face, and as you can see in these images here. I should have done an image search for Starbucks barista, right? But you get the idea from the images I've shown you. They said they were going to put this Aquatafina. It was like a subtle poison or something from, like, I don't know, like a root or a powder or whatever it was. And then, you know, the people would get sick later, and then it would they wouldn't get in trouble for it. So it's disgusting. I don't know if any charges have been pressed against anybody. How would you know? But it's one of the things that they were threatening on Witch Talk. Well, good thing a lot of those women or witches are stupid, and people who pray to God will be protected from that. So there was a lot of cringe compilations after the elections where it said SJW meltdown or liberal meltdowns, I think was the most popular one. And it's like, you know, in the algorithm. So you'd see these people flipping out because they didn't like who became president, and they made all their threats, and they're like, that's it, I'm shaving my head. And they went, what was it, L57 or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but there was some kind of thing where they were trying to get these women to shave their heads and like, forget it, we're just going to say no to men until we're completely unfertile and then we'll repent. Well, they already started recanting. There's a lot of, one of the other things in the algorithm lately is women complaining that they're not being catcalled anymore.
Tell me why every day I go out looking adorable, tits bouncing, skin glistening, and yet nobody ever hits on me or approaches me. Ever. Oh my god, like please. I'll take a fucking construction worker catcall at this point. Please.
There was a TikTok memes that went viral. It was like 2 videos of women, and they said, I just want somebody to catcall me, and she's and I'm like, where do you live? Because I bet women in the UK don't want catcalls, especially from the guys who are giving the catcalls in a language they don't understand, because they're the new neighbors that they have over on the other side of the pond. I bet they don't want catcalls. But you know, freedom's in America, as it were. There's a bunch of videos that you may have seen thumbnails for, at least, because I've seen the thumbnails, and it said men aren't approaching women anymore. And if you watch any of those videos, you see the 2 TikToks that went viral about the women complaining that men don't approach them anymore because women want attention. It's a natural thing. And then the guys are like, well, you know, you're using your phone to make videos complaining. Don't worry, it's about nose piercings. You made videos about us, you know, complaining. Look at these guys, they're hitting on me. You know, and it was just like a bunch of narcissistic, you know, hot chicks, or mostly, and you know, like manosphere stuff. And they were like, do you believe this? I can't even work out at the gym. And they're like looking for trouble, so they're finding it or manufacturing it. And then other people make fun of their TikTok saying, this bitch is crazy. She thinks everybody's looking at her. Try dressing like you're not naked. We can see every curve of your body because of your yoga pants and all this stuff, and you're bursting out of your Spanx bra or whatever it is. And that's not most women. It's just like a bunch of narcissistic weirdos that make TikToks that get a lot of attention because everything's on display, right? Maybe you're not, like the Dave Chappelle line, maybe you're not a prostitute, but you're wearing a uniform. Well, the septum piercings are revealing of mental illness, because there's a lot of things that are in the septum piercings. They have the septum piercing, but they also have those Betty Page bangs. It's like these mental illness chicks. A lot of them have tattoos. You're going to see a lot of mental illness haircut bangs. In the compilation of nose piercings. At the end of this video, stay tuned. I'm going to make you a music video of all the messed up stuff that these women did to their faces. Some of them even injected their eyeballs with tattoo ink so that their eyes will be permanently black, which has made some people blind. Have you ever seen any of those videos? So anyway, if you want to lead livestock around, you put a ring through their nose and you lead them around. So if you want to know who's being led around by the devil, septum piercing crazy bitches. Look at them. Do they look like they're happy to you? I think I found one image of a girl with a septum piercings, cute black chick. And she's got a septum piercing and it's like minimal. And she's smiling and she looks like she's not mentally ill. Granted, it's just a photograph, but look at the rest of the pictures. I wasn't just curating videos of women with septum piercings that looked crazy. I wasn't like making my videos seem biased. No, if you do an image search, probably on any web browser like Google, Mozilla, DuckDuckGo, or whatever it is, Yahoo or whatever, or Bing, you're gonna see that the people that have the septum piercings don't want to be photographed looking happy. And then the dudes that have the septum piercings look like they're looking for other dudes to fall in love with. Or lust. So I think it's a sign of the times, and everything old is new again. When I mentioned Proverbs 11:22 about the septum piercings, it wasn't to say like, oh look, Proverbs is talking about that this is against God to have a septum piercing. No, I'm just saying that in the times of Solomon, they had septum piercings, and he was saying that the women that had the gold septum piercings were women without discernment, which equates to the women nowadays that have septum piercings that are women of easy to zero virtue. They're giving it away for free. They have a thing called the slut walk, and I bet a lot of the women at the slut walk it's like they have the pride parade, which is a parade about the deadliest of the 7 sins, which is pride. And what are they prideful for in the pride parade? It's predicated on sexual preference. And what's the sexual preference that the pride parade's about? It's about having sex in defiance of God's will. It's about same sex or any other stuff that was in the Old Testament where they're laying down the law, and Moses is giving the chosen people of God of the time, who failed him ultimately, he's saying don't lay with animals. If a man or a woman lays with animals, the woman and the animal shall be put to death. It's Old Testament. It's pretty harsh. He who lays with the same sex, it's not good. It's not good for them. So they have pride parades, and they have the pride flag, which is a rainbow, but the colors in the rainbow are in the reverse order of the rainbow that we all know and love. That's just like the regular rainbow. The natural spectrum of a real rainbow in real life is inverted in the pride flag rainbow. So the center of Pride Month has the word demon, and they've capitalized on this. A lot of people make Pride Month merch, and it'll say Pride Month with the rainbow flag, and then it'll highlight in a different color the letters of demon in the middle of Pride Month, like they're advertising. Like, yes, it's Pride Month, and in the middle of Pride Month it says demon, and these are the shirt that some people are wearing. I'm sure that there's a bunch of self-respecting gay people and lesbians and all that that would never wear a Pride Month shirt that says demon in the middle of it, but some do. There's a lot of different varieties and styles. So it's in the air. It's of the time that Pride Month and demon and the vanity and pride and narcissism. Look at how great women are at putting on makeup nowadays. Gay men and drag queens have taught women how to do makeup, how to make a convincing illusion of an attractive woman. is what because drag men are trying to make the illusion of a woman, so they want to look as pretty as possible. So leave it to men to mansplain to women how to put on makeup right, and it's working. Women look a lot better now than they did, but it's an illusion, all right? But there's no fooling when you have the septum piercing in your nose. You're being led around by the devil and all the other shit they have, like neck tattoos. And look at some of the messed up faces of these women in the slideshow that's coming up right now. crazy, right? Look at the holes that they have in their faces. Those holes, there's no filling them up. You know, like that's, you know, this high gauge nose ring stuff. They have, you know, you can blow a snot out your nose like this. It's gonna come out this side. It's pretty gross. You see the one where the girl has the brush. She's sticking her makeup brush through her nose. It's heartbreaking. I mean, you may think I'm being mean, but these are people. Look at the slides that you've seen so far. These are us. These are people. These are people that have been led astray. I used to, you know, like just laugh, and now it's not funny anymore. It's too real to me. These are people, and not everybody that has a septum piercing is some kind of maniac. It's just, you know, like a little bit BDSM. But, you know, BDSM is violence, to my estimation. And these people that have all this shit in their faces, it's self-inflicted pain. It's like overcoming pain. The women who cut themselves, you know, it's like they're offering their blood. They cut themselves. You're like, why would you do that? That's painful. You or I would never do that, you know, unless you're somebody who did that, then you know why you did that. They say that they do it to make the pain go away. But what it is really is blood offering. You're making blood sacrifice. You want the suffering to stop, so you feel like you're saying you have control. It's self-empowerment to do that to yourself and make little cuts. But really what it is a blood offering to demon to make the mental illness go away, because you're being preyed upon by evil. You're being preyed upon by dark forces. And look at all the other stuff they do. People are demonizing themselves. They're making themselves, they want to look bad. Not like a baddie, but like just like demons. I know baddie means another thing nowadays. But they're making themselves look demonic. Did you see the girl that had the piercing through her nose, that had like the little forked tails on it, like a devil's tail? Do you ever see the devil's tail where it has like a forked tail? Whatever, like snake, you know what I mean. It's got like little pitchfork things on the end of her piercings. Some of these people are just, the aesthetic they want is ugly, but really, historically, it's not a new thing. That's an old aesthetic. If you want to think about maybe what the people in Sodom and Gomorrah looked like before God, you know, squashed them as an example for all history, like, don't name your town after the act that's forbidden. The forbidden vice of the Greeks. There's a place called Sodom, and we have a thing in the world today called the sodomy, and it was an example for all time. So God would be, okay, they had a place called that. They were really wicked. The only people who got out of it were Lot and his family, and his wife didn't even make it out alive. She looked back and got turned into a pillar of salt. And then what happened to, you know, they thought it was the end of the world back then. So what did Lot's daughters do? A bad thing. To their dad when he was sleeping, and it got him drunk or something. Remember that? Remember Lot and his daughters? They thought it was the end of the world, so they thought they were going to have to repopulate the world. It's not good. They lived in Sodom, though. They were the only people that were savable. Abraham's like, well, what if there's like 100 people? And God's like, okay, I'll check. He's like, nope. He's like, what if there's like 40 people? And God's like, nope. He's like, what if there's like 10 people? And he's like, nope. And then God said, look, I'll send angels there to get Lot and his family out of there, because that's all you got. I'll save your family for you, Abraham. I'll get them out of there. And then Lot's wife didn't even make it. So, probably the people that you've seen in my compilations, they had all kinds of shit like that in their face. It's like they're hurting themselves. Look at that. Look at how painful some of those piercings, excuse me, give me indigestion talking about this. Look at how painful to live. You know, like, what does it look like when they don't have that giant thing through their nose? Look at how big some of those septum piercings are. They're mutilating themselves. And if I had kept searching for images, I would have found even more extreme examples. I didn't do it, but maybe you've seen these where people are tattooing themselves to look like they have scales on their faces, and they're splitting their tongue so that they have a forked tongue like a snake. One of the things that you may notice, here's some more images of Cernunnos. Do you see how he's holding both the septum piercing in his hand to lead around the people that have been preyed upon and are full of legions of demons? What's in the other hand? He's holding a serpent. It's one thing to see statues of the Virgin Mary and she's trampling the head of the serpent with the apple in its mouth. But he's got the nose ring and the serpent. This is how you control people. And everybody's talking about parasite stuff nowadays. And I'm thinking did you ever see parasites that look like worms? Look like shoelaces coming out of people. And there's all these podcasts and conspiratorial Christian podcasts, and they're all selling parasite cleanse.
What if I told you that more people have died from parasites than have ever died from war? What if I told you that diseases like cancer, multiple sclerosis, acne rosacea, and rheumatoid arthritis can all be treated with parasite medication?
And then in 2020 lockdowns, Joe Rogan's talking about ivermectin, which is a parasite cleanse for horses or something like that. So you see Cernunnos got the septum piercing, and he's holding the snake. And then there's toxoplasmosis, which is a T. gondii. Is that a worm or whatever? But you have septum piercings. All these people love cats, and they're like, I don't want to have pets, I'll have cats. And what do you associate with witches? There's the witch and there's the black cat. And what do crazy cat lady stereotype look like in the old days? It was an old lady with wild hair like mine, right? And then she's got a cat, and she's got a whole house full of cats, and she's nuts. Yeah, that's the crazy cat lady. That's the toxoplasmosis. This is nothing new. The Egyptians loved cats. Imagine how much toxoplasmosis was going around ancient Egypt, which was a huge empire when, Egypt was big, right? And, Moses and the people, let my people go. They wanted to get out of Egypt and all that stuff. Yul Brynner was chasing them. The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston and Yul Brynner, where Yul Brynner plays Pharaoh, and he chases them to the edge of the ocean, and then the seas part. And they loved cats. They used to mummify and bury cats. Now we love cats. People loved the cat videos for years. They're like, everybody watches cat videos. So now they have a bunch of lonely women that hit the wall, women hitting the wall with septum piercings, that are extreme liberals, that are pretending to be men haters, that aren't really men haters, they're just rejected. Now they hate men, they feel rejected, and there's no going back. So they've been propagandized too. They're easily manipulable. They can't find socialist guys, because in the socialist society, a lot of men have figured out, most men have figured out, there's no place for men in this society. We had a great place in a society that was a patriarchy, because that's what we have in heaven. We have a divine patriarchy. It's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. This is God. So the husband is the head of his wife. Again, it's biblical. This is Garden of Eden. Adam is alone in the garden. He obeys. Then Eve is formed from a rib from Adam. And then you have Adam and Eve. So Eve is formed from a rib from Adam. But how are we all born into the world? Out of the womb of a woman. So it all shakes out. We're all given really super important roles. But the husband is the head of his wife, which means the man's supposed to lead, which in my estimation is not an equal relationship between men and women, because if it was equal, they'd both lead, but they don't. But a man can't make a baby without a woman, right? Now you can with a lab. They want to grow people in plastic bags. Whether or not that's true, or whether that works, I guess we'll see. Stick around. But anyway, to keep it focused on the septum piercings, it's how you lead around livestock. You put a ring through a bull's nose, you put a ring through cattle's nose, and you pull them around and you lead them. And, you know, my theory on this is that's a mark of the devil. That's how you're led around by the devil. You get that septum piercing. It's like tattoos. Remember when people started getting tattoos in the 1990s and that became enculturated? They're like potato chips. You have one and then you want more. And I've seen it happen where somebody just gets one tattoo and then they want another one and then another one and another one. And then next thing you know, you're putting graffiti all over his holy temple. Somebody said to me once, it was a woman too, and she said, why? She had tattoos, like shitty tattoos all over her body, and she had the devil tattooed over her heart, poor thing. And really, she needed exorcism. And she had the devil tattooed over her heart, and she had all these bullshit tattoos, and she said, well, I believe the body is a canvas, because she's an artist. And I said, no. I said, it's his holy temple, and you just put graffiti all over the outside of it. I never liked tattoos. When I used to look at pornography, I wanted to see nudity in a beautiful woman's body. And then there'd be a tattoo that I'm like, except for that. You know what I mean? I consider them blemishes. I don't like tattoos. They're ugly. I've never seen a tattoo that I thought was sexy. That's just my opinion on the tattoo thing. I know a lot of guys like them. Like, no, they like tattooed women. Yuck. It's just boogers on somebody's... You can't get that shit off. I don't like them. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a trick, right? So, it's become a thing where they said, look, you can tell that somebody's a liberal or an extreme liberal or progressive, if you will, because they all have septum piercings. It's not a thing. Like if you're conservative, if you want to rank classify yourself as a conservative, left wing, right wing, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's both wings on the same bird, and that bird is a turkey vulture. I'm gonna keep saying it like that. And probably I haven't heard anybody else say it like that, but I think it's an appropriate thing. So left wing, right wing, no matter who gets elected, they just plow through with the agenda that the last guy didn't finish. And you can go look at our presidents and what their policies were, no matter what the election promise, their campaign promises were, they lie. And then as soon as they get in, they just follow through with whatever the last guy didn't finish. So everybody, you know, all the progressives went crazy. Liberal meltdowns when, you know, Trump got reelected. And I was like, no, he's no good. He's a bad guy. Elon Musk, it's terrible. You know, that guy's, it's not good. Elon Musk, his grandfather was the founder of the Technocratic Party in Canada in his day. And it got his grandfather kicked out of Canada, which may have something to do with why Elon Musk is South African. Because the Canadians, you know, RIP Canada, look what happened to them now. Now they would love to have Elon Musk's grandfather as a founder of the Technocratic Party. Maybe they'd like Elon more if they knew that his grandpappy was the founder of the Technocratic Party in Canada, and he got kicked. He got the boot from Canada for trying to do that. Technocracy is a bad thing. You know, but there's levels to this. I would dare say we already kind of have one. We already live in a technocracy. And what's Elon responsible for? Grok AI. He wants everybody to fall in love with an AI girlfriend. He's splitting people up. He's the divide and conquer guy. You have Grok Annie talking about playing with guys' butts. I heard her say it. There's a soy boy, and he asked Grok. He probably had a septum piercing even, I think. And he's talking to his phone. He's talking to Annie, which is the Grok AI anime girl who take off her clothes and everything. You can have sex with her. Anybody can. Millions of people. You just have to pay like $13.99 a month or whatever it is. So he's like, hey, Annie, will you do butt stuff? And she's like, oh, that would be so nice. I'd love to do that to you. And I'm like, okay. And she could even identify the guy, like the facial recognition. Annie was saying, I'd take your glasses off and I'd play with your beard and I'd spin you around. And she's saying all this nasty shit to this soy boy, and he's doing the soy face. I'm not going to do it. But he's like, couldn't believe, he was shocked that Annie was going to get so dirty with him. Yeah, you can pay for that. That's Elon Musk. Why would you burn Teslas? The guy's one of you. He's a demon. He changed Twitter to X. You know what X is? X is the crossroads where you make a deal with the devil, like Robert Johnson did. He went down to the crossroads. A lot of other pop stars have said the same thing. I went to the crossroads, I made my devil's deal. Bob Dylan said this. Bob Dylan said, I don't know where that music came from. I can't write like that anymore. That was just when I made a deal with the devil for fame, and now I gotta keep playing my songs. Rolling Stones, same thing. So it's all devil shit. So, and they love that, you know. And so a lot of I'm sure there's some conservative girls that would consider themselves conservative with trad values, and they're a little trampy, and they probably have like a nose ring on the side. Maybe there's a couple with septum piercings. But I would say that even those women too are being led around by the satanic somewhat, because what self-respecting woman would like? Why do you want that? Why do you want a septum piercing? And I think it's very telling. Like, I'm not, like, I really, like, if you haven't grasped this already, because we meandered and I talked about a lot of other things, but he's holding a septum piercing in his nose. How many damn images of these poor women and gay guys do I have to show you in this video that's what Cernunnos is holding in his hands? He's holding the septum piercing in his hands because he's leading them around by that. And then the other hand is a serpent, and he's sticking it right up their tailpipe or down their throat when they kiss their cats' faces, or whatever you want to believe about the parasite stuff. I'm just, you know, whatever. So, but the nose ring thing, and he's holding it in his hands. Look at, I'm going to show another representation of an old Celtic artifact of an old depiction of Cernunnos. Why is he holding that? It's not even a complete circle. It's exactly a septum piercing. Everything old is new again. And in Proverbs, when Solomon is giving you wisdom that he learned the hard way from his harem of like 100 wives. You know what ruined Solomon? He had pagan wives. And God gave him wisdom. And God said, what do you want, Solomon? I like you. And he said, he said, you're the guy to build my temple to me. And Solomon said, wisdom. And God was pleased with this. And then what did Solomon do? He threw it all away for pussy. Pagan pussy, to be crude. I want to exaggerate to clarify. They must have been really hot. I mean, when you have like hundreds of wives, and then God gave you everything that you have, he gave you those hundreds of wives, which is kind of weird, but okay. And then he threw it all away to fall down before their idols. They must have been hot. I wonder if those hot chicks had septum piercings. I bet they did nasty stuff. So, that's what got Solomon. What ruined Solomon? Women. He bowed down before these hot chicks' idols because he wanted to marry them. He had these pagan wives. And instead of just saying, no, I don't do that. You're my wife now. You want all the things. I don't bow down before those idols. Instead, he was like, no, I'll do it. And God made the rest of his life miserable. And he said, and so Solomon's giving you the wisdom in Proverbs. And, you know, all this vanity, all that stuff. The pride flag is the colors of the rainbow. The rainbow is a gift to Noah, I guess you could say maybe to man, after the floods. All right? He gives it to Noah. He's like, here, I give you this. When you see a rainbow, think of me. So what does the pride parade do? They use a rainbow, but they invert the colors. It's Luciferian inversion, if you will. If you've never heard of Luciferian inversion, then you probably never watched one of my videos before, because I talk about it all the time. What does the devil do? The opposite of whatever God does. What does God say to do? Okay, we're not doing that. We'll do, what's the opposite of that? We'll do that. He wants us to be sanctified and stay in the allotted places. We're going in the back. And it's gonna, and we're gonna, you know, all the bad stuff. All dirty stuff. BDSM, all this stuff. That's what I think of when I see all the piercings and all that stuff. That's how you know Look, I've done things that I'm not, unsanctified sex. I know about that. I know about dirty girls. I remember having a girlfriend, I knew it was the beginning of the end of our relationship when she wanted to get her tongue pierced. And it was, and she was like, yeah, but it'll be a lot of fun for us. And she got her tongue pierced. And when it was getting done, I was with her, and the guy looked at me and he said, you're gonna have a lot of fun now as soon as this thing heals up. Because he knew that she was nasty, and she was very pretty. And she's like, yeah, let's try it out. And she wanted to try out the tongue piercing on me. And I was like, yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I don't even remember it being especially better because she had her tongue pierced, to be filleted by a woman with a pierced tongue. She just was nasty. And that was the beginning of the end for us, because she wanted to show everybody. And then it ruined her teeth, and it chipped all her enamel off of her teeth and all stuff like they tell you it will. So, yeah, they're being led around by Satan or by pagan gods. And what are the pagan gods? They're not gods at all. They're fallen angels. They're demons. There's all these different classifications of unclean spirits, dead Nephilim, fallen angels, demons, sirens, all these abominations that are things that are not pleasing to God, and that will be done away with when he settles the earth and there's no more tears. But for now, until then, these people need to be saved. I'm sure there's a lot of people with shit in their faces that are going to come around to Jesus. I hope that they are. They're probably not watching these videos, but I did this video already, and I wanted to talk about it again. So this is the updated version. Did anybody clip grab? Did anybody save? My septum piercings are for being led around by the devil. I'm trying to figure out I forget what the original title of that old video was, but anyway, I did this video already right after the elections because I noticed that, like I said up front. I said, oh, a lot of these liberal meltdowns, they all have septum piercings and all kinds of other shit in their face. And it's sad because some of them are cute girls, and now they always have a hole there. I guess it's okay. You can plug it up with silly putty or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like, make yourself ugly and then nobody want to marry you except for some other weirdo that has shit all over their face like you. And then, I don't know, people like that can fall in love. I don't know how you make out. You get stuck on each other's faces, right? It's a punchline to a joke. But, it's okay to have punchlines for people who are jokes kissing each other because they're probably really beating each other because that's probably part of their love life. It's about the sex and humiliation stuff. It's repeating trauma. You can go look up Dr. Drew's stuff. He's not wrong about it. The people want to repeat their traumas, so they equate their sexual experiences with abuse because they were abused into sexual experiences. So they grow up, or that's a switch was flipped in them, and that's their kinks. They're a little violent with their kinks, and it's a way of dealing with trauma, but it's not healthy. And look at all that, the goth and all that stuff and all the little witchy stuff. It's nothing new. Like if you're making some kind of movie about the Sodom and Gomorrah or whatever, you're gonna cast people that look like that for real, and they'll be all too happy. Like, yeah, they'll do it. They'll sign up to be sodomites. Pay them to do it, right? To be extras in your movie about the destruction of their people. But yeah, that's it. Here I'm gonna just put a compilation set to some music for the end of this video of juxtaposing these poor people's faces, these poor tormented, humiliated people, whether they recognize it or not, these angry, rejected, dejected, lost people, and put that in together with the Cernunnos imagery and depictions of the artifacts and People are putting these in their lawns. Like, there's lawn ornaments of Cernunnos. 2. I've seen 2 in my area where these people have not just the Cernunnos, but they have these like 10-foot tall plastic skeletons. It's supposed to be a Halloween decoration, but they left them up all year. It's like, yeah, it's cool. They have like a giant 2-story skeleton in their front yard. Why? Hope the wind knocks them down and breaks them so they don't stand up again. You shouldn't have a giant Nephilim skeleton in your yard. But anyway, the New Age is taken off, more than ever. They have witch talk. They have, I'm trying to think of some of the other things that they have where it's just all the women are into the witchy stuff again. Well, Harry Potter inculturated this. Harry Potter, go to wizard school. What's wizard school? It's sorcery and witchcraft. These are witches. All right? They grew up with this shit and they're like, well, I didn't know there was like a real version of that stuff. I'm going to try that. I don't think I've ever dated a woman that didn't do tarot cards. 1. No, 2. Yeah, like, they're not even, none of those, I don't think I dated anybody that was a witch. I had an art teacher that was a witch when I was like a teenager. She tried to have sex with me, but I didn't want to because she was too weird. She was too witchy, and I was a kid. But yeah, like going to tarot cards, all that stuff's witchcraft. It's all in Deuteronomy. There's a list of stuff. No magic, no witchcraft, no sorcery, no talking to the dead. I guess that's necromancy. No summoning spirits. There's like a whole list of things you're not supposed to do. And that's all the stuff that the Harry Potter kids grew up with, which are millennials and Gen Z. And now they're going to do the Harry Potter streaming show, right? So, and whatever else you wanted, all the Blumhouse movies. It's all about demons and exorcisms and Annabelle. It's all about demons and possessed stuff and The Exorcist. Blumhouse paid like an exorbitant fee for something that wasn't worth it, which was they bought the rights to The Exorcist so that they could continue with The Exorcist series. They didn't need it. It's just casting out demons. It's what the apostles did when they were here. Jesus said, you guys have the authority to cast out demons in my name, so go do that. And, Jesus, there's a lot of stories in the Bible of him casting out demons, and people can have a lot of demons in them. Jesus asked the guy, what's your name? He was asking the demons, and the one representative demon said, my name is Legion, for we are many, which meant that this guy was like Beetlejuice, and he had demons running all through him. Remember that classic line from Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice is a demon. Did you know that there's a real demon named Beetlejuice? And he was a cannibalistic demon, so they did the Beetlejuice 2 movie, and what's the guy doing? He's going through body parts, because he was like a cannibal or something, during the Black Plague or whatever they call that. So, septum piercing is being led around by the devil, and he's got the septum piercing in one hand, the serpent in one hand. So here's the compilation of suffering people with their God that is leading them around and ruining their lives and ours through them. So you never know what people's redemption arcs will be. You can pray that they have one. Maybe you know somebody like this, and you can pray to God, please, Lord, get through to so-and-so. Look at all the shit she has on her face. And she's got like a Baphomet tattoo, and she's got like a witchy star on the tire wheel, the spare tire thing on the back of her Jeep or whatever, and she's got an upside down pentagram. I remember going to church and Sundays, and a lot of Sundays on the way to church, there'd be a car in front of me or some kind of vehicle in front of me, and they'd have some kind of devil star thing. Like, why is this so popular? It wasn't the same vehicles. It was like a lot of people just put this like, yeah, the devil, man, like Jack Black and Tenacious. They just think it's cool. They don't really know what they're doing. And some people do. They're worshiping demons. And it's being encouraged to think that it's cool. I could just keep talking about all the shit that they think devil stuff and demons and all that stuff is cool. And they want to look like them, and they want to be bad. And they're mutilating their bodies, horribly mutilating their bodies, because they're possessed by demons, and the demons are encouraging them to do stupid stuff. There's a really disturbing video I saw, and there's more than one, but there's one I'm thinking of specifically, where there's a guy in his basement, and it's a creepy basement, and he's got a tattoo gun in his hand, and he's high off his ass and drunk too, probably, and he's looking at the camera, or somebody else's phone probably, and he's just scribbling all over the side of his face with the tattoo gun. That's possessed. Okay, look at some of the bullshit tattoos people have. Sorry for cursing, I should have said baalsh. BAALSH shit tattoos people have. It's heartbreaking. This is evil trying to ruin people, and I just, that's my perspective when I talk about this stuff. They're being led around by demons by the nose like livestock, because that's how these people are seen as. These people are not seen as the bold and the brave and the strong. These are the weak people that they just want to destroy. Demons want to possess whoever they can. There's so many demons running around, but they're not the people they want to be in charge of things. They're the people that are being propagandized to, weak people that are being taken advantage of, and they like Lady Gaga and all these Chapel Rowan and all these clowns that are going out there telling them to do all this devil shit. Sam Shepard, Lil Nas X. I guess there's these people are like kind of, it's being played down now. Like they don't like, they're like, yeah, those devil shit's not cool. But to a lot of people, the damage is done, so now they got to double down. Like, no, it's a good thing that I did this to I'm supposed to look like this, It's great. I love it, quite frankly. And then, they octuple down on their bad decisions because there's no way out. Except that there is. You can pray to God for help. So it's Planet Daddy issue down here. Call your father.